Started, sir?
Yes. Okay, we will start. I think there may be a little delay. Will come. We can follow anyway.
Coming.
Okay. शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये दोर्भिर्युक्ता चतुर्भिः स्फटिकमणिमयीमक्षमालां दधाना हस्तेनैकेन पद्मं सितमपि च शुकं पुस्तकं चापरेण भासा कुन्देन्दुशङ्ख स्फटिकमणिनिभा भासमाना समाना सा मे वाग्देवतेयं निवसतु वदने सर्वदा सुप्रसन्ना कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलं वाल्मीकेर्मुनिसिंहस्य कवितावनचारिणः शृण्वन् रामकथानाथं को न याति परां गतिम् गोष्पतीकृतवाराशीं मशकीकृतराक्षसं रामायण महामाला रत्नं वन्दे नीलात्मजं यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकं वैदेही सहितं सुरद्रुमतले हैमे महामण्डपे मध्ये पुष्पकमासने मणिमये धीरासने सुस्थितम् अग्रे वाचयति प्रभञ्जनसुते तत्त्वं मुनिभ्यः परम् व्याख्यान्तं भरतातिभिः परिवृतं रामं भजे श्यामलम् नमोऽस्तु रामाय सलक्ष्मणाय देव्यै च तस्यै जनकात्मजायै नमोऽस्तु रुद्रेन्द्रयमानिलेभ्यः नमोऽस्तु चन्द्रार्कमरुद्गणेभ्यः ॐ So we saw the first 18 shlokas, first 19 shlokas in Samkshepa Ramayanam until the last class. And after the first 5 shlokas, which is the question asked by Valmiki to Narada, the remaining shlokas are just the answer. Because Narada asked, Valmiki asked, is there a person with these 16 attributes ever to be found? For which, of course, Narada replied, yes, right now. That's how Sri Rama is introduced and all that we saw. So in some sense, that captures the Balakanda. Because Samkshepa Ramayanam is the executive summary of the entire Ramayana. That's why we want to go through the entire 100 shlokas. So today what we will see is shlokas pertaining to Ayodhya Kandam. About 18-19 shlokas are there, which pertain to Ayodhya Kandam. Before we see that, I want to, because Ayodhya Kandam is going to take some time for us to come. So I just wanted to little bit talk about it. It's the second largest in terms of the sargas, 119 sargas. There are 5 broad things that you see in Ayodhya Kandam. The way it works, there are 5 broad blocks. In fact, the story becomes gripping after Ayodhya Kandam anyway, if you look at it from a story perspective. So there are 5 broad blocks of events. first block is up to Sarga 17. The first 17 Sargas is where Dasharatha has decided for succession planning. Dasharatha has decided to step down and install the next king. He has Sri Rama in his mind. The first 4 sargas are very interesting. I read it recently. I am trying to write a paper on succession planning, in which I am trying to use some. That's why we read. Some of us sat down and read. So it is very nice. Dasharatha says, I am old. I am tired of all these. All these are not exciting me anymore. So I have to now give it up. Slowly he introduces that idea. Then he says, I thought I will give it to Rama. What do you think? Then immediately the court, all the people immediately jump at it and they say yes. He says, no. Just because I said, very nicely it is captured. Just because I said, because I am the CEO, in all companies what happens is whatever CEO says, others will simply nod their head out of fear. So Dasharatha says, no. Don't tell because I said. You tell. Is there any other person more competent? Like that, all that happens. So then there is enormous expectation building which happens. If you read up to 16th Sarga, it is scaling the peak. People are happy, the subjects are happy, Sita is happy, Rama is happy, everybody is happy. I mean, that is brought so nicely. Phenomenal building up of expectation. That is first block of the event, if I were to call, about 17 sargas. Then comes the second block of events, which is 39 sargas, 18 sarga to 56 sarga. This is where Rama is now asked to go. So Rama decides to go. And then after some time, Lakshmana says, I will also come with all those events. Then Sita says, I will also come, all those. And then their preparation, their meeting, their Kausalya and Dasharatha, taking leave, all that happens. So that's the second block of sargas that you will find in Ayodhya Kandam. It's up to 56 sarga roughly. Then comes a third set of events, about 24 sargas. Dasharatha dies because Rama has left. After Rama has left, there is so much of grief that the father goes through, and then he dies, and now Dasharatha is dead. Then the other 2 sons are not here, and Shatrugha, all those happens. Bharata is brought, last rites are done. But Vasishtha tells that you cannot have a kingdom without a head. All those events. Bharata comes and Bharata gets to know the whole thing, and then he has a very fiery encounter with his mother. He refuses to take the kingdom. All that happens. So that is the third block of events, which is about 24 sargas. So which comes to about 82 sargas by then. 80 sargas, 81 sargas. Then the next block of event is Bharata decides, I am not going to rule. I am going to get Rama back. So they all prepare. There's a bridge, there's a road from Ayodhya to Ganges. All those are done. And all the elders, the rishis, ministers, army, everybody come. Then there is this wonderful conversation between the 2 brothers, between Rama and Bharata. All that happens, and then Rama simply refuses. All that events happen. So more or less Ayodhya Kandam is over by that. Then there are last about 6-7 sargas where Rama is persuaded successfully Bharata to go back and rule. Bharata takes his paduka and then he goes, and Rama feels this is not the place to be anymore. People have found out where I am, trouble will be more. Then he crosses over and then go into the Aranya. So this is so there are 5 set of events. By and large, we read it as story. We have been taught as stories because we always felt there is one way. That is one way to understand. That's not the way to understand actually. Stories are there, but this is rich and rich in its message of how to lead a life. That is what it is there. I'll quickly list down by just looking at these 5 blocks of things that have happened. At the outset, there are a few things which I can say. First of all, that what is life? In a way, it actually deploys life. Ayodhya Kandam, in some way, tries to show how we lead a life. What are some of the things that will happen, which becomes part of our life? That is why it is very rich. Although there is a gripping story, all that we are heard many number of times, all that is there. First of all, in fact, you will find quite a bit of references there, which makes us understand life for many of us is all about dreaming about future. In the first 17 sargas, you will see it. If you have that eye, you will see it. In life, we end up dreaming about future. Or if you want to use a word, building expectations. First 16 sargas is phenomenal build-up of expectations into the whole storyline in Ayodhya Kandam. Essentially, what it says is this mind is very cunning. This mind, as somebody defined, mind is not there in the present. If somebody is in the present, there is no mind. That's a better way to put it. How do you define mind? If somebody is only in the present, his mind is destroyed. Because mind has only 2 jobs, which in Ayodhya Kanda you will see. One job that mind does is keep on, dreaming about the future, building expectations, thinking this is what is going to happen, this is what I am going to do, this is what is going to happen to me. We all do that. This is one job of the mind. There's another job of the mind, which is lamenting about the past. This is all mind does all the time. Mind never stays in the present. It is either in the past or in the future. You will see that coming through Ayodhya Kandam. The story is only, you have to actually keep the story aside. Then the Sukshma will come out. Story is only the honey part. The medicine is inside. So, life is all about this mind, dreaming about the future, building expectations in one's life. Life is all about thinking about the past, lamenting about it, feeling sad, feeling, so many things happen when you start. So this is another Sukshma stream of ideas which you will see flowing through Ayodhya Kandam. Occurrence of good and bad events happen in everybody's life. It is so unrealistic to think that only good things will happen to us. I mean, that's a very, very wrong way to lead life, although most of us are taught like that today. Most of us are told that is how we should build our expectations. What I am saying is not a pessimistic view. That's realism. Life is a roller coaster. Sometimes the going will be good. Sometimes the going will never be good. If you don't have this masala, sometimes the dish is not good. How much masala is a question we need to ask. I mean, you can't have too much of masala. That's a different question. But the fact is that life has all these different things. I mean, Prakriti has taught us in many ways. If you take a finger, if you take a hand, the 5 fingers are not identical. Right? Many things we see in Prakriti, it says nothing is uniform. There are lots of, loko binna ruchihi. That is the vakya. Loka hai binna ruchihi. So different things will happen in life. And when you say different things will happen in life, don't think different things of the good variety will happen. Nothing bad will happen. It's not like that. I think there are pluses and minuses in life. That message comes very, very powerfully from Ayodhya Kandam. Life has ups and downs. So that immediately brings the next question. If life has ups and downs, then what do you mean by leading life? Leading life is one's ability to actually handle not the nice things. Nice things anybody can handle. But some people find it even difficult to handle the nice things. Unmattahapi, sometimes they get into trouble. But generally, so what is life? Life is our ability to handle these adversities that comes to us. The strength of the character, the meaning of life expresses itself through our ability to handle the adversities in life. Good things by and large we'll be able to handle. how do we handle the adversities in life is another important thing. Is things about, Adi Shankaracharya in his Viveka Chudamani, when he defined the term titiksha, titiksha is this ability. His definition was very nice. He said sahanam sarva dukkhanam. He never said sarva sukhanam. Sarva sukhanam sahanam we know. We know how to bear sukha. He never used sukha in there. He said sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratikara purvakam, without a support. And when things happen which is not good, are you able to handle it without some support? Apratikara purvakam chinta vilapa rahitam. Then the other thing, this lamenting business. Oh, it has happened to me. God has been so unkind to me. I have did so many things. Still, it happened to me. Why did I do all these? A lot of us spend a lot of we actually spend a lot of our energy like this. So Adi Shankara said, Sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratikara purvakam chinta vilapa rahitam sa titiksha ityuchyate. That's his definition. So it is about the strength in life. If somebody says, I have also lived a life, it is dotted by not my ability to handle nice things that has happened to me. It's the ability to handle challenges. Challenges will come. In fact, challenges actually make, if people are able to handle challenges in their life, they become much stronger in life. They never become pessimistic. These are all people who sit outside and think about it. People who are able to challenge life become stronger in life. They become much wiser in life. They become much more resilient in life. And they have learned their lessons in life. Those are all coming in Ayodhya Kanda. You will actually see that message. This undercurrent which is running through as Rama goes through this whole thing. You will see it. How he comes back after all these events have happened. If you see, this is another message of life that you will actually see in Ayodhya Kandam. Then you have so many principles of life which are there in Ayodhya Kandam. I'll just list, there are many. I'll just list a few of them. There are plenty one can go on. I just picked about 5-6 that on the top of my mind, whatever I came on the basis of this, I just want to say. One, the first 4 sargas at least taught to me how to do succession planning. What are the nuances of doing a succession planning? This is a big question in management, particularly family-owned businesses. That's one of the problems we are studying now. So I am using Vanaprastha Ashrama, I am using a little bit of Ayodhya Kanda, I am using some chapter 6 of Manusmriti, all that I am trying to use. So how do you do succession planning? How graciously Dasharatha wants to step out and put the next person in place. I mean, it's not easy. People's sense of entitlement about life, people's sense of endowment of things in life seems to grow as they grow older. They become even more sticky. That means this Vyakti has not evolved. It has remained unevolved. As we grow older, we don't have to go too far away and see. Take a coconut and keep it for 6 months. After 6 months, it gets detached. The water dries, it happens. It says, I don't want anything, leave me off. Prakriti is, if you look at a lot of vegetables and fruits, it will be like that. That is a stage of evolution in that fruit called coconut. A raw coconut, you have to grate it. You have to all use a knife and then sharp knife and cut it and lift it and take it out. But once it becomes copra, it comes out of the shell. It says, I don't want it. I want to detach. So that is grace in life. Dasharatha shows that grace in life. You will read it. In the first 4 sargas we read, you find that is what evolution. You have to take that message. You have to leave the story. Story is very gripping, but you have to leave the story. Story we have seen any number of times in the movies and we have read in stories and serials. And we will not do it in Ramayanam here. We want to go undercurrent and see what is it telling us. Grace. First 4 sargas says, as you grow older, how do you actually Urvarukamiva bandhanat mrityor mukshiya ma amritat? How do you get that? Like this Urvaruka. How do we detach? And yet seemingly attached with the world. That's what it shows. That's the first thing I remember. Then the second thing, Sargas 5 to 13 or something, the clear message that we get in addition to other things is that bad counseling can prove to be very costly in one's life. There is no better way to exhibit that than those Sargas. Mantara goes to Kaikeyi, which costed the life of an otherwise pious king. In no time you finished. A lot of our events happen in life like that. Foolishly we take a counseling and destroys some goodness in the system, in the family, in the ecosystem, which we repent later. Kaikeyi repents so much later. That's the second message you see that. That bad counseling can actually prove to be extraordinarily costly. Whereas few kandas later you find good counseling can be a great success. Same thing also you will find in Ramayana, in the Kishkinda Kanda. You will find that also. Anyway, ability to handle disappointments. Sarga 17 to 24, 25. When Rama is told on his face, what did he do? How did he react? There is a beautiful message there. Learn to handle disappointments. Don't say, I don't want disappointments in life. That means you are fearing disappointment. Say that, give me the strength. If disappointments come in my life, this is the prayer we have to make. We are making a lot of wrong prayers actually with God. Prayer we should make it, we should not say, I don't want disappointments. Perhaps you say, oh God, I don't want disappointment. However, if there are disappointments, give me the strength to handle it. That's a much better prayer. Give me the strength to handle disappointments in life is a much better prayer any day. It's not a pessimistic prayer. Because I am more realistic. Life has all this. Little bit it goes up and down. So how do we ability to handle disappointments? Then what are the risks of building expectations phenomenally? The first 17 chapters built so much of expectation in Rama and Sita. In the next 30 chapters, Valmiki actually portrays Rama as a human being, quote unquote, not as an avatar Purusha. A simple human being who suffers from feelings, who is blowing hot and cold, who has a lot of feelings. The only difference between that portrayal and perhaps with us is that is more to demonstrate something. After that, this great character comes back again. It's just to portray and give us some message. But human beings can also have feelings and emotions which it is difficult to control. The question is, what do you do after that? What do you do after that is a question. But all those ideas also come from there. The other beautiful principle that comes is, what is true character? True character is the ability for one to manifest himself or herself during a period of distress and crisis. That is true character. Not during when everything is fine. When there is distress, when there is crisis, how do you handle? That is the real manifestation of character. That comes through some of the things that we actually see in the Ayodhya Kandam in this character called Rama. That's another principle which I think of. Then towards the end, I have skipped a lot of things in between. Towards the end, there is a very nice message after reading all these 119 sargas. The message is, these two brothers, Rama and Bharata, if you put them on two pans from a parameter called aparigraha, both will stand uniquely similar. Because Rama says, I don't want the kingdom. Bharata says, I don't want the kingdom. Both of them practice aparigraha. No sense of endowment. No sense of such a, deep attachment that it can hit your emotions. Even slightest things can go one way or the other. Because the last 15 sargas, the conversation brings it out. Both of them are hallmarks of aparigraha. Yet they went on doing their business in life. But with aparigraha, you can still deal with things in life. Aparigraha does not mean you throw up everything and say, I don't want anything, I have no interest, therefore I will not do anything. No. Both of them are anyway ruling the kingdom. Both of them are personifying aparigraha. Gandhiji actually manifested highest level of aparigraha, but he was in the thick of activity, engaging in many things that was happening in this country. So aparigraha should not be misunderstood as, I don't want, so let me take my hands off, so nothing is interesting, therefore I don't have to do anything. These are all cynical understanding of reality. These are all some contrived understanding of what aparigraha. Aparigraha means that my sense of endowment is not there. My sense of entitlement is not there. That gives me more freedom to do things in life. Both of them show it so well. Because Bharata says, I don't want. Rama says, and they come with their own reasons of how to handle the situation finally, and then they handle it. So these two brothers show this important principle of aparigraha. That also is an undercurrent which goes through this storyline. So like that, there are many more. So I just took a few of them to sort of. So with this background, because today we will see only the story part in Samkshepa, but Ayodhya Kanda we are going to wait for some more time. I thought I will little bit talk about it before we get into Samkshepa Ramayana portion of the Ayodhya Kanda. But before that, couple of Subhashitas I came across which I thought were very apt to describe things that are happening in Ayodhya Kandam. So look at this. It says, Mridulam Navanita Miritam Navanitadapi Sajjanasya Hrit. Okay? Tadidam Dravati Swatapanat Paratapad Dravate Satam Punah. So what it says is, this butter is Mridulam. Butter is very, very soft, no? It's really soft. Put your hand, just goes in. So soft. So it says, Mridulam Navanita Miritam. But then he says, a Sajjana's heart is even tender, even softer than Navanita, butter. Why? That's what the second line is saying. The second line says, Navanita will melt only when it is being heated. Whereas a very soft heart, a noble heart person, his heart will melt if somebody else gets, affected. Because the way Rama handled and avoided a great embarrassment to both Kaikeyi and Dasharatha, you should read. That portion you should read. Majestically he came and started and said, what was thought as a very big issue, or it is actually a very big issue. I am an entitled person for this kingdom, and you bring some rules and then you try to throw me out of the system. I should resist to the greatest extent possible. Create a ruckus out of it. And see that I am, like these days they handle them, throw them out and all that. The way he handled, he wanted to sort out, he didn't want Kaikeyi to get embarrassed. He didn't want Dasharatha also to get embarrassed. Look at the balancing of act which Rama did in Sarga 17, 18, 19, 20, you will see it. That kind of a feeling. So, that's what it says. The Suhrid will melt when something else happens. So I remember this Subhashita, which in a way is sort of, this is even better. Look at what this says. Na abhishekaha, na samskaraha, simhasya kriyate vane. To announce lion as the king. There are no events there. There is no abhisheka, there is no simhasana, nothing of that. When the lion comes, lion is the king. Period. You don't have to announce, you don't have to put a banner, you put an arch, and then do a welcome function, all that, so that elephants and the tigers and everybody will know, okay, now, nothing. That's what it says. Na abhishekaha, na samskaraha, simhasya kriyate vane, vikramarjita sattvasya. A person who is has his own vikrama, arjita vikrama. He has sampadana of his own vikrama. Okay? Swayameva. Mrigendrata. Just like he doesn't need, nobody has to. So Rama never required that he should be anointed and announced as the prince. Rama is prince. Rama is the emperor. He doesn't need all these formal things. That's why he was able to just like that give it up. He said, okay, I don't need all these. You people are doing it. You decided to do it. You decided not to do it. I am okay. That is the majestic feeling of a true Kshatriya of that variety. He is not required. All these symbolisms are required for other reason. For that Vyakti, it is not required. So when he just like that threw away and went, this Subhashita in a way explains that. It says, na abhisheko na samskara simhasya kriyate vane vikramarjita sattvasya swayameva mrigendrata. Just like the mriganam indraha, the lord of the mrigas, which is a lion. It's like that. In Vivekachudamni, towards the end, it's a 580 shlokas. So in the 436th, 33rd shloka onwards, for about 15 shlokas, there is a set of attributes of a Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta selection. I'll bring 4 shlokas from there. They are all very apt for the Rama that you see in Ayodhya Kanda. That's why I wanted to bring all those shlokas just to put it in front of you. What does it say? You see, Atitan Ananusandanam, Atitan Anusandanam, Bhavishyat Avicharanam, Audasinyamapi Prapte, Jivan Muktasya Lakshanam. The first thing it says, Ajitan Ananusandanam. Okay? Atita Ananusandanam. Sorry. Atita, the akara is required. No Anusandana. I am not thinking about the past. Atita is one which is over. Atita means that which has happened. Past tense. Atita Anusandanam. Anusandana means na Anusandana. I am not lamenting about the past. Okay? Bhavishyat. What is going to happen tomorrow? Dreaming. Building expectation. Thinking about what will happen and all, dreaming about the future. That is Bhavishyat Avicharanam. So no vichara of the Bhavishyat also. Which means I am in the present all the time. Audasinyamapi Prapte Jivan Muktasya Lakshanam. What is happening at the moment? There is a Udasina Bhava. Udasina Bhava, it means indifference. I am not worried. I am engaged, but I am not worried. I am not too worried about what is happening, but I am fully engaged. So that is the first thing it says. Jivan Muktasya Lakshana is that what I was saying. Don't dream about the future. Don't do the Vilapana of the past. Be in the present, but be engaged in it. So much that you are so indifferent to what is also happening in some sense of the term. That's the first shloka in which he talks about a Jivan Mukta. Rama is a Jivan Mukta. Only such characters can exhibit that, can handle that kind of stress, that kind of distress, that kind of mental agony that he has gone through in Ayodhya Kandam. Guna dosha visishte asmin swabhavena vilakshane sarvatra samadarshitvam jivan muktasya lakshana. Sarvasya sarvatra sama, in Bhagavad Gita, this is something which has come again and again and again any number of times. So, average mind, what it is? We can't help it. When we start dealing with people, very quickly we start looking at what is it good that they are doing, what is their dosha. We start commenting about it. The man is good, but he has this habit of doing this. So we have this average mind has this problem. Look at good qualities are to be evaluated, then evil qualities are to be evaluated, and spend your energy on thinking about it. All that they don't do. Vilakshane, not swalakshane, vilakshane. Don't see all that. Prakriti Vishesha, people have, each one of us are a certain RGB, the color palette with which we have come. So it is bound to be, from a Vyavahara plane, these differences, that kind of a thinking has to be developed. So he says, Sarvatra, only when we develop that, Sarvatra Samadarshitvam will come. Sarvatra Samadarshitvam will not come by doing a japa 1 million times of this word. It is in the eye of the beholder. While we see differences, we must say for our practical purposes, we have to go beyond that. Only then Samadarshitvam will come. Until then, Samadarshitvam is not going to come. So a person who is able to do that, is Jivan, Mukta. And in the Pattabhisheka Sarka, you will see how he was treating his subjects. You will find all these attributes of that Rama there. The way he handled Guha, the way he handled all those people, you will see these properties. Ishta Nishtartha Sampraptau, Ishta Anishta. Ishtan Anishtan. Ishtanishtan. Ishtanishtartha Sampraptau Samadarshitaya Atmani Ubayatra Vikaritvam Jivan Muktasya Lakshana. Sometimes you'll get good things, sometimes you'll not get what you are looking for. Sometimes what you get is not at all in proportion to the effort. Sometimes you get is little more than the effort. But this human mind is so tricky that when good things happen, it is not taken into account. That is discounted. When bad things happen, we keep it in memory and say, why is this happening all the time? That's why, I remember that, the tennis player I keep mentioning, Peter Walsh or Arthur Ashe. So he unwittingly got into, HIV. He went for a surgery. They actually transferred a certain blood which was infected with HIV. Therefore, he became HIV. So he had very nice African American, very nice person. So a lot of people asked, why Arthur? Why for you? For which he gave a beautiful answer. He said, to come to Grand Slam in America, to be in the Grand Slam final, he said, the lowest level, it should be better than 126,000 people. He writes a detailed set of accounts. Then you should be better than 64,000 people, 32,000 people, 16,000. Like that he goes. Then he finally says that you come to the Grand Slam. He said, I never asked why when all this happened. I never asked why. When I became from 25,000, I became 64,000. I was a top 64,000. From top 64,000, how did I become top 32,000? I never asked why. Why should I ask now? I mean, he is a very man of very high thinking. He is a Vedantin. So this human mind is very tricky. When good things happen, it doesn't ask why. When bad things happen, with interest, it asks why, including that also. So he says, Jivan Mukta will not do that. Because Ishta, Anishta, Artha, Samprapto, sometimes Ishta Prapti, sometimes Anishta Prapti, all that happens. Samadarshana, you should be able to develop that sense of, which is all what actually Rama showed in Ayodhya Kandam. This is what he exhibited in practice, not in theory. Things were thrown at him, the way he handled it. So that is another Jivan Mukta Lakshana. Sadvihi Pujyamane Asmin Pidyamane Api Durjanehi Samabhave Bhavet Yasya Saha Jivan Muktaha Ishyate. So some people will say you are great. All good people are saying you are great, so I am very happy. When people start talking ill of you, then you find fault with them, then you get upset and say, what is all these people thinking of themselves? I have done so much of work, and it's an average person. Our ability to go beyond all these are all very average living. We seem to be living most of our life like that. That means we have not evolved. So these were all the examples. It says, Sadhibihi Pujyamane, all learned people, great people are all worshipping me, therefore I feel very good. There are some people who are all talking so ill of me, so then I have to now become very upset and angry, and then but the worst part is to become upset. But they should become upset for saying wrong things. I don't know why I should become upset. They are playing with your sentiment now. That is what in reality is that. People are playing with your sentiment and you become victim for it. The day we understand it, peace is ours. Peace is not it is not a remote control in somebody else, it is with us. Somebody makes a filthy comment about me, he should feel upset. Why should I feel upset? We are doing exactly the reverse. I feel upset. It's such a foolish thing we are doing in life. You put a photo in Facebook and then not so many people are waving their hand, I feel upset. It is their problem. It's not my problem. So we are all turned the table and looking at things in a slightly different way. The person who has seen these kinds of discrimination will be able to. So these 4 slokas which I am showing are the 4 slokas which are actually saying how do you handle distress, disappointments, ups and downs in life. That is what it is. This is all what this character called Rama did in Ayodhya Kandam. So I wanted to talk a little Ayodhya Kandam before we go into the slokas. Now we will go into the slokas which are in the Samkshepa Ramayanam, which will not bring any of those. It will be a nice short summary of what happened in a simple. Okay. Tamevam gunasampannam ramam satyaparakramam jyeshtam sreshta gunair yuktam priyam dasharathas sutam prakritinam hitair yuktam prakriti priya kamyaya yauvarajena samyoktum Aichi Pritya Mahipatihi. So the first 2 slokas covers the 5 sargas actually in some ways. Tam Evam Gunasampannam. Which are the Gunasampannas? Sloka 8 to 18. In great detail, Narada explained to Valmika. Evam Gunasampannam. Look at this, if you want to learn Sanskrit, Read Ramayana. Very simple. Particularly first, look at here. You have to look for a verb now. I have put two slokas together because in the first two there is no verb. So I have gone to the second two lines now. Right? So, Sanyoktum Aichat. That is a verb there. He wanted to install him. So, moment you capture a verb, you can do many things around it. You can say, who has to be now installed? You can ask that. Who wanted to install? You can ask. Who has to be installed? So, we have to start from here. Samyoktum Aichat. Wanted to install. Desired to install. Aichat is desired. Icha, Aichat is past tense. Aichat. Desired. Samyoktum. To establish. Okay. Now from this we can start building the other things. Now the question is who is going to be installed? That's the next question that we can ask. Who is going to be installed? Then Tam. Then we can go. Who is going to be installed? Tam. That person. Who is that person? Guna Sampannam. Who is with all these gunas? Priti. With all water? No, not don't. So with all these gunas, Guna Sampannam, Evam Guna Sampannam. Why Evam Guna Sampannam? Because just now it is pointing to that, those gunas. Okay. Ramam. So all moment you get one Ditya Vibhakti, you can attach all Ditya Vibhakti into it. Because they will be adjectives. In Sanskrit, an adjective must agree in gender, linga and Vibhakti. So if you find one Ditya Vibhakti, you attach every Ditya Vibhakti to it. More or less they are all pointing to that. That's the meaning. So here, Samyoktum Aichat. Whom? Ramam. Who is Rama? He is a Satya Parakramam. He who gets his Parakrama through Satya. Satyavak. So that's the adjective for Ramam. Evam Guna Sampannam. That's also an adjective for Rama. Jeshtam. He is the eldest son. That's also an adjective for Rama. Okay. Sreshta Gunaihi Yuktam. Again, this is an adjective for Rama. The Priyam. Liked. That's also an adjective for Rama. Dasharatha Sutam. The son of Dasharatha. So all these are now attached to this one verb. The verb says wanted to install. Then we ask who has to be installed. Then the two lines talk about Rama with all his adjectives. That's what it is coming. Not only that, all of them. Prakritinam hitaihi yuktam. That's also an adjective for Rama. Rama wants to keep the harmony of the Prakriti always. Always worried about the harmony of the Prakriti. Prakritinam hitaihi yuktam. And he is also one who is very harmonious with Prakriti. Hitaihi yuktam. As what? Then we can ask, as what? He wanted to install him as what? Yavarajena. So that answer comes from there. As the prince. Because he simply said he wanted to, right? The question is who wanted? We never asked the subject. Who wanted to do it? Mahipatihi. Okay? Prathama Vibhakti. That is called, subject. Dasharatha is called Mahipati now here. So Dasharatha wanted to install Rama with all these different attributes as Yuvaraja. That's what this whole story. It's not at all complicated. If you know how to catch the tail and then pull the thing out of it, Sanskrit can be easily mastered. So that's what it basically says. तस्याभिषेक संभारान् दृष्ट्वा धन्यवाद तस्याभिषेक संभारान् दृष्ट्वा भार्या अत कैकेयी पूर्वं दत्तवरा देवी वरमेन मयाचत विवासनं च रामस्य भरतस्याभिषेचनम्. So here there is ayachata is the verb. She begged or asked. That's the verb in the second line. Ayachata. What did she ask? We can ask the question. Varam. He says, Varam yena ayachata. By whom? Yena. Yena is pointing to somebody who is already referred. We'll come to it. But anyway, ayachata. That's the verb. She asked. You don't know he or she asked. Right? What was asked? Vara. Correct? And what kind of a vara? Purvadatta vara. Purvadatta vara Devi. Purvadatta vara Devi is a single. Purvadatta vara is one who has been endowed with a boon earlier, which is Kaikeyi. It's called Bahuvri Samasa actually. One who has been endowed with a boon sometime before. That is Purvadatta vara. It is an adjective for Kaikeyi. Devi, adjective for Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi. So Kaikeyi asked. The subject is all. Now there are adjectives for. Right? Why did she ask? We can ask a question. Why did she ask? Because Drishtva. There is another verb in the first line. Drishtva, having seen. Seen what? Tasya Abhisheka Sambaran. Arrangements for his Abhisheka has started. Tasya, Ramasya. Ramasya Abhishekasya Sambaran Drishtva. Having seen this, Kaikeyi, who is none other than Purvadatta vara, Devi, Varam Yena Ayachata. She used that opportunity and asked that. Then you will ask, what did she ask? That's in the last line. Vivasanam cha Ramasya. Send Rama to the forest. Bharatasya Abhishechanam. So that's how the whole sloka is coming. Just take the verb and then that's the advantage of learning Sanskrit, reading Sanskrit in a particular way. Just take the verb. With the verb, you can ask any kind of question. Ran. Who ran? Why did he run? Did he run with somebody else? Where did he run? When did he run? How did he run? Vegena Davitavan. You take one verb, you can actually make sense of any shloka or any sentence and just build around it. Sasatyavachanat Raja Dharmapashena Samyataha Vivasayamasa Sutam Ramam Dasharatha Priyam. Saha Satyavachanat, on account of keeping up his word. Satyavachanat Raja, Saha Raja, that king, because he has to keep his word. Dharmapashena Samyataha, bound by his adherence to Dharma. His Pasha called Dharma has tied him. Okay? Dharma Pashena Samyataha Dasharataha Raja, who is also a Satyavachanat Saha, what did he do? Vivasayamasa. He sent him, he began the process. Actually, it is a sort of a present continuous. He began the process asking him to go. Ramam. Vivasayamasa, come, Ramam. Who did that? Dasharataha. Who is Rama? Rama is Dasharatha's Priyam. The adjective, the Priyam is the adjective for Rama. Priyam Ramam Vivasayamasa. Dasharatha Priyam Ramam Vivasayamasa. Because he was bound by his dharmic sense and keeping up his word. Saj Jagama Vanam Viraha Pratigjanam Anupalayan Pitur Vachana Nirdeshat Kaikeyaha Priyakaranat. Now it says, what did this Rama do? Saha Jagama. Saha is Rama. Rama went. Jagama. Saha Viraha Jagama. He went off. Where? Vanam. He went to the forest. Why? Two reasons he is saying. 2-3 nice things he is saying here. See what he is saying. He is saying, Pratignyam Anupalayan. First, he wanted to keep word of his father. See, if a son or a daughter does not keep word of the father or mother, the son and the father does not know that they have put the parents in a very bad thing. Today's, sometimes it happens. They don't understand it. The greatest thing that a parent, children can do to the parents is to make them, they are put in the right. That's all they can do now. After all, they are growing, they are young. This is the greatest thing they can do. They should not put their parents in a bad, frame of things. So that is the first thing it says. Pratignyam Anupalayan. He kept his word. That means he absolved his father of his word has meaning now. Otherwise, people laugh at him. What is this man is saying something? This boy, son is doing something. What kind of son he has? We hear these kinds of things. No, the children must understand that. That's one of their important duties. We should put always our parents at a high pedestal, even at our own inconvenience. That is high thinking that the child can develop. So Pratigya Manupalayan is the first, but the second are very interesting. Just see what else he is saying. He is saying Pitur Vachana Nirdeshat, right? Because father said, you have to, father is also in an embarrassing situation. He said, but he was not sure whether it is right, whether he should do it, whether the son will do it. All these will maybe in the minds of the father. So he wanted to rest all that. Don't worry about that. All those are settled. Don't worry. That's the greatest thing a son can, or a child can do to a parent. It's the greatest thing that a child can do a parent. Nothing can match that. So he says, Pitur Vachana Nirdeshat. That Nirdesha must not go waste. So he protected that. Kaikeyaha Priyakaranath. Even after he spit at fire, Rama says, I love her. I must do something which makes person whom I love the most happy. I can't do something which, if I truly love somebody, I should do what he likes or she likes. That's the other thing. Says Kaikeyaha Priyakaranath. So he balanced both the embarrassment so beautifully. He quickly dissolved the problem. Yes.
Why don't you just take over, put me in person and take over that kingdom? You don't have to go to the forest, that kingdom is not Islam.
I'll have to see. I haven't read in that much detail, but the point is, even father on his part can say all that.
He doesn't want Rama to go.
Yeah.
He says, disobey my orders and then put me in prison. You don't go. Please. But then he's keeping everything aside, said that you have given a promise. I would rather uphold that and then he wants to go.
Yeah, so even those suggestions, even yeah. So those suggestions, as parents, as a person who seems he has done something which looks apparently unfair, I may come with 100 ideas. But the strength of the character lies in your ability to understand that these are not the reasons. You should be able to uphold that credibility of a parent is far more important. I have not read it in that much detail, so I have to really see. But even in that case, what is very important for a child is to put the parents on the pedestal. If you have done it, let us say we have done it that way, after all father suggested, look at the aftermath of that. The aftermath of such an arrangement is both the son and the father will lose the credibility in the minds of everybody. Because people will say, what is this? Father has no credibility. He said, ask his father to go, son to go to the forest. This fellow did not even go. Okay? And even if people get to know that father only suggested that you do it like this, then that puts father even in a better, even a worse sort of a frame.
I'm saying is even Dasharatha even didn't want Rama to go to that.
Yeah, that was true. It was more an it was an expression of anxiety on the father. Absolutely. Yeah. So all these are taken care that the credibility of the father is restored, the embarrassment of Kaikeyi is avoided, and if you really love somebody, how do you express your love to somebody? Whatever they ask you to do, you don't start evaluating cost benefit. Then there is no love. Love and cost benefit never go together. Love is beyond cost benefit. Actually, you can't put both of them in the same plate and then try to find a solution for it. So those kinds of things are coming here.
Says so. Sarga 34, he says what
he
says so. Because he doesn't want it to go.
Yeah.
But Rama doesn't.
Yeah, there's a huge anxiety on the part of Dasharatha. Although he was bound by this, he had a huge anxiety and wanted him not to go at any cost. But there lies the strength of how do you take. In fact, that way at the end also the kind of suggestions which Bharata and Vasishtha and Jabali and all those people gave. The way Rama handled shows how at the end of the day one has to handle situations. That's the charm of the whole thing. Tam brajantam priyo bhrata Lakshmano anujagamah snehad vinaya sampannah Sumitra Nandavardhanah Brataram Dyaito Bratuhu Saubrataram Anudarshayan. So this quickly summarizes how Lakshmana decided to follow Rama. When the Kaikeyi asked only Rama to go, then Sita and Lakshmana anyway followed. So there is a background to all that. So that's captured here. Vrajantam tam, one who is going. Vrajantam tam, Priyaha Brata Lakshmanaha. Rama is going. The Priyaha Brata Lakshmanaha Anujagama. He followed him. So the message is contained in line 1. The next 2 lines are the adjectives on Lakshmana, describing what is, from where is Lakshmana coming into this whole question. Why did he do that? If you ask, Snehat, Vinaya Sampannaha, Sumitra Nandavardhana. So these are all the adjectives for. So Snehat Anujagamaha. Out of his love for Rama, he followed Rama, right? And what kind of person is he? Vinaya Sampannaha. And Sumitra Anandavardhanaha. Sumitra Anandavardhanaha. Brataram Rajantam Tam Rajantam Brataram Anujahama. Because he is always attracted by what the brother does. So that propelled him into this act. And so this, in this shloka, it summarizes that Lakshmana also decided to follow with, Then comes the Sita. Ramasya Daita Bharya Nityam Prana Samahita Janakasya Kule Jata Deva Maya Iva Nirmita. Deva Maya Iva. In Sandhi it has become Maya. Deva Maya Iva Nirmita. Sarva Lakshana Sampanna Narinam Uttama Vaduhu. So the first 3 lines are the grand adjectives for Sita. All are adjectives for Sita. Ramasya Daita. Right? She is the better half of Rama. Bharya. Nityam Prana Samahita. Just like the Prakriti coexists with Purusha as long as this body lives, no? It's like that. Nityam Prana Samahita. As long as somebody is living, the prana has to coexist. Nityam Prana Samahita. So Rama Sitayoho Sambandha Etadrisha Sambandha. That is what it is. Nitya Prana Samahita. Janakasya Kule Jata, who was born in the Janakasya Kula. Deva Maya Iva. Looks like it is the Deva Maya who has Sakshat come. Deva Maya has constructed this lady called Sita. Deva Maya Iva Nirmita has been constructed like Deva Maya. Deva Maya Iva Nirmita. Sarva Lakshana Sampanna, who is endowed with all Lakshanas. Sarva Lakshana Sampanna, Narinam Uttama Vaduhu. Best among the ladies. So these are all the adjectives. First 3 lines are the adjectives for Sita. And the last line, what it says is, Sita api anugata. Sita pi anugata. Sita api anugata. Sita also decided to go. Ramam. Anugata Ramam. She also decided to follow Rama. How? Just like Sashinam Rohini Yata. Just like Rohini follows the moon in the same way. Then what happens? Pauraihi. Ye pure santi te sarve pauraha. Pauraihi. So this is, Taddita. This is called a Taddita Samasa. Though the city bred people, that's the meaning. And in other words, Ayodhya Vasina. Pauraha, Puravasina. Pauraihi, by those people. It's a Tritiya Bhakti, plural actually. Pauraihi Anugataha. So they also now followed. Pauraihi Anugataha. Duram. Pitra Dasharatha Nacha. Dasharatha is also in the Tritiya Bhakti. So Dasharatha also followed. City people also followed. For quite a distance, they all went. Okay? It says, Paure Anugata Duram Pitra Dasharatha Nacha. Then what happened? Shringi Bera Pure Sutam Ganga Kule Vyasarjayat. So Vyasarjanam is giving, leaving, dropping, whatever. So this whole contingent which came, they dropped them at Ganga Kule, at the banks of Ganges, right? In the city called Shringi Berapura, which is where he sees the Guha actually, right? So Guham Asadhya Dharmatma Nishadipatim. So the Dharmatma is Prathama Bhakti. Guham is Ditya Bhakti. So Dharmatma is not for the Guham. It is actually, it talks about Rama. What Rama did? Guham Asadhya Dharmatma Nishadipatim Priyam. So Nishadipati, Priyaha, all these are adjectives for Guha. So this Dharmatma Rama approached Guha, who is actually Nishadipati, Nishanam Adipati. He is very priya to him, right? Asadhya approached him. Guhena Sahitaha, along with Guha, Ramaha Lakshmanena cha Sitaya. So they all, along with him, Guha, Rama and Lakshmana and Sita, they all left that place. So that story has come there. It's about 55 sargas roughly. Then what happened? Te vanena vanam gatva nadistirtva bahudakaha trikutam anuprapya bharatwajasya sashanat ramyamavasatam kritva ramamane vanetrayah deva gandharva sankasha tatrate nyavasan sukam. You know, in my 10-day spoken Sanskrit class which I conducted here, if you remember, we talked about Lebanta and Twanta. This shloka is full of that. You just see. There is Twanta and Lebanta here. But Tirtva, there is one Tirtva. There is one Gatva. Just see, there is a Gatva. There is a Tirtva. There is a Anuprapya. There is a Kritva. This is a very popular usage. Kritva means having done. Tirtva is having crossed. Gatva is having gone. Okay? And in Sanskrit, when you have a Upasarga before that, it becomes lep. The Twa will become Ya. So that's why it becomes Anuprapya. Anu is a Visarga. Otherwise, Praptva. Anuprapya. You remember I taught some of those. This shloka has all these. I was just remembered of that. All are Twanta Prayogas. Having done something, having done. You are narrating what has happened, what has been just finished. So that's a Prayoga here. Okay? Te is Rama, Sita, Lakshmana and Guha. I think it is, no, Guha is no over. It's these three only. Rama, Lakshmana and Sita. Vanena vanam gatva. Crossed forest after forest. Vanena vanam gatva. Having gone. Nadihi tirtva. Having crossed the river. Okay. Bahudakaha. Udakaha. Lot of water. Brimming with water. We didn't build such great dams at that time. Now there is, rivers are all empty now. They are all caught somewhere and then all that is happening. In fact, I find about 62 dams in the Himalayan region. Last time we went, when I was reading, they are building 62 dams in the Himalayan region. Teri is of course very big, Teri dam, but there are lots of smaller dams which we are, Devapraya, Rudrapraya, everywhere we saw actually, there is a lot of dams. Bahudakaha, lot of water. Chitrakudam anuprapya, having reached Chitrakutam. So it is now saying they cross several forests, they cross river. Particularly, finally they came to Chitrakuta. Why did they come or how did they come? Bharadwajasya Sashanat, under the direction and instruction of Bharadwaj Maharishi. So Bharadwajasya Sashanat, Chitrakutam anuprapya, having reached Chitrakuta. Ramyam avasatam kritva, nice looking dwelling place. Kritva, having constructed, done it meaning constructed it, having kritva. Ramamanaha vanetrayaha. They were peacefully, happily, sort of, trayaha, the three of them were living. How? Deva Gandharva Sankashat, Tatra, looked like, they were like Deva Gandharvas. They were shining like that. Deva Gandharva Sankasha, Te Nyavasan Sukam. They were happily sort of living there. So this is that part of this Ayodhya Kandam which is captured in Samkshepa. Then our Bharata comes. Now the story moves to the other side. All these have happened. Only Bharata comes the other side. So Trikutam Gate Rame Putra Shoka Turastata Putra Shoka Turaha Tata Raja Dasharatha Swargam Jagama Vilapan Sutam. Vilapan is actually present continuous. Vilapanam is lamenting. Vilapan is constantly lamenting the separation of the son. Sutam Vilapan Jagama. Dasharatha Swargam Jagama. Raja Dasharatha Swargam Jagama. So after these people have went, Dasharatha was very sad. He was all the time lamenting, thinking about his favorite son Rama. Finally he passed away. So that's what the shloka is saying. Mritetu tasmin mritetu. Now that Dasharatha is no more, Bharata Vasishtam Pramukaihi Dvijaihi. The Dvijas and the Pramukas and the Vasishta and all those people, after counseling and discussion, understood that you can't have a kingdom without a king. Therefore, they called for Bharata. Nijyamanaha Rajyaya. They were in the process of installing. Is the present continuous actually. Narrative style. Nijyamanaha Asan. Past continuous. Asti means present continuous. Asan means past continuous. It's a narrative style. So they were in the process of establishing him as the next king. Niyujyamanaha Asan is actually understood there. Niyujyamanaha Rajyaya. Then what happened? Na aichat is na aichat. Na aichat Rajyam Mahabalaha. Bharata did not want the kingdom. While these people were in the process of making him the next Raja, Bharata on his own was not keen. He was not interested in the Rajya. So that part is captured here. Sajagama Vanam Viraha Ramapada Prasadakaha Gatva tu su Mahatmanam Ramam Satya Parakramam Acha Ayachat Bhrataram Ramam Arya Bhava Puraskritaha Tvameva Raja Dharmajya Iti Ramam Vachaha Abhavit. So now it is saying, what did this Bharata do? Right? So he says, Saha Jagama, he went. Saha here is actually Bharata. Who is he? He is Ramapada Prasadakaha. One who values, who is so keen of that Pada Prasada of Rama. He wants that person. Who is Bharata? Ramapada Prasadakaha Saha Viraha. This great Vira, who is Ramapada Prasadakaha Saha Vanam Jagama. He went to the forest. Because he was not interested. That's what the previous shloka said. Gatva, having gone, again Tvanta Prayoga. Gatva to Sumahatmanam Ramam Satya Parakramam. So he went to him. Went to whom? Ramam. Who is it? Mahatmanam Ramam. Satya Parakramam Ramam. All these are adjectives for Rama. Okay? So he went to that Rama whose strength, valor, power, might, everything comes through his Satyavak. Satya Parakrama. So Satya Parakramam Mahatmanam Ramam Gatva Ayachat. He asked, he begged of him, he requested of him, he pleaded of him. Ayachat. Bhrataram, his brother. Bhrataram, Ramam, Satya Parakramam, all these Ditya Bhakti are all for Rama's adjectives. Ramam. Aryabhava Puraskritaha. Right? He said, you must be the king. You are to be the king. You must become the king. Right? Tvameva Raja. Dharmajna iti Ramam vachaha abravi. So he went to him. He said, you are the greatest person. You are to be the king. So you be the king. You have to be the king. That's how this Bharata actually went and told Rama. So that's being captured here. We have come to the end of this. Is Sankshepa, so it's going faster. Actually, in that part of Ayodhya Kanda, it starts from the 99th Sarga goes up to 116, 15th sarga. So lots of things happen between the two brothers. Even deep philosophical. Rama invokes the notion of death. Rama even gives a very nice example. He says there is a two wooden planks are actually there's a river flowing. He gives example like this. He says there is a huge river flowing. There are two wooden planks. Those wooden planks are all coming. These wooden planks are coming. Suddenly, because of the force of there's a gushing water. Forces are all coming from different ways. So he says, because of the force of the water and the gushing waters, what may happen, Bharata, you understand? These two planks sometimes just come together and they keep on sailing like that. Then after a few kilometers, maybe a few meters, maybe a few miles or whatever, what will happen is just they will separate. It's all the force of the water. So he says, don't, this brother and all, don't do too much. This is what Rama says to Bharata in one of the 104, 105, one of those sargas. He says, don't get too much emotional and all that like this. All these are all, coming and going business. You better go and whatever father has said, you go and do it. Don't waste your life. Not good arguments in those 10, 12 sargas. It's a massive argument between the two brothers. Argument in the sense, Bharata is keen that he comes back. Rama is keen that what father has said should not be disturbed. Don't worry about all these, you go. You don't worry too much about all this. So constantly they were, putting things on both sides and so on. So that's a kind of all that happens. So Rama happy, Paramodaraha, Sumukaha, Sumahayashaha, Nacha, Na Aichat, Pitaram Adeshat, Rajyam Ramo Mahabala. So he also didn't want to rule the kingdom because father was bound by a boon. The boon had been not necessarily a good boon. All that is a story. I mean, all this is gone. But having his father must be a Satyavak. That's what the son, Chittaranjan Das. Apparently, Chittaranjan the C.R. Das, who was a great lawyer. In fact, his father had left so much debt. So C.R. Das said, all that I wanted to do in my life and all this study, all this that I wanted to do is I will settle at peace only when my father is absolved of all these. For a variety of reasons it has happened. But he must be absolved of all these bad things which have been. That is what children must very anxiously, very intensely think about their parents. That society will have a paraspara, bhava with which many things. So he says, all that is past. Father was bound by something. That must be a Satyavak. That must be a Satya Sankalpa. That should never be, under any stretch of imagination, that should not be given an impression that has been, tweaked, twisted by giving 100. Because there are very tempting reasons they give. All that is fine. Because you don't know what happens in history much later. We are talking about today. We are talking about sorting out something which we think is amicable. You don't have that duradrishti. No. Father's that legacy should never be disturbed. We must endear ourselves to do things so that is not disturbed. That is the reason why na aichat. Pituhu adeshat rajyam ramo mahabala. So Ramaha Mahabalaha, he didn't want the kingdom because that will go against the thing that happened. So he was also not interested. That's what this shloka. So this between those two shlokas and here summarizes that 15 sargas of that both of them were retaining their positions. Paduke cha asya rajyaya nyasam dattva punah punah nivartayamasa tatah bharatam bharatagrajaha. So finally, Bharata was not successful. Vasishtha was not successful. Vasishtha gave a complete list of Ikshvaku Kula, the eldest son's name, only trying to put a point in Rama's thing. No, Rama, you understand. You don't know. So many thousands of Ikshvaku Kula. He gives a complete list. Rama listens to all of them and says, no, sir, father's thing is more important. All these you keep aside. Guru is less important than father. Father is very important. Jabali also, he just dismisses him, saying, Anuchita. He said, father. That's why, in Taitra Upanishad, Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo, the order can never, there is a strict significance to that order. Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava. Highest stature is Mata. Then Pita. That is why a person who has taken sannyasa ashrama, the mother cannot offer pranams. Father can offer. After this son becomes a sannyasa, pravesha, sannyashrama pravesha, the father can pay his obeisance. Mother cannot. Mother is ultimate. Mata, Pita, then Acharya. That's why that he brings here. He says, Acharya, I have a lot of respect for Acharya, but Pita is more than Acharya, so these arguments does not hold water. He just dismisses. Vasishtha also. All that happens. So finally, after all that has happened, this is the final argument, final arrangement which comes. See, punaha nivartayamasa. That is the first thing you have to know. Punaha nivartayamasa. Whatever Bharata was saying, Rama was again and again telling, no, go back. Whatever arguments you are saying, I will put a counter argument, no, go back. So, punaha nivartayamasa tataha. From that place, you go away from this place, go back to Ayodhya. That is what father have given a promise to Priya Mata Kaikeyi. Let us not bring any kind of this thing into it. Much later in history, we do not know how it will be commented upon. Father, under some circumstances it has happened. As children, we have to do our duty is to keep our parents' things intact. So, punaha nivartayamasa tataha Bharatam. Who? Bharatagrajaha. Rama was asking, go back, by telling again and again. Then, finally, Padukecha asya rajyaya nyasam dattva. So, Bharata asked for it. So, he gave him that Paduka and then finally reconciled him and asked him to go. Sakamam anavapyaiva Ramapadau. There's a Ramapadau in Sandhi. Ramapadau Upasprashan. That is a Sandhi. Ramapadau Upasprashan. Nandigrame Akarot Rajyam Rama Gamana Kankshaya. So finally, what did Bharata do? Kamam Anavapyaiva. What he decided he didn't get. His desire was to bring Rama. That was his desire. His mission was to actually bring Rama. That Anavaptam. So, Saha Kamam Anavapyaiva. But at least he got the Rama's Paduka. Right? Ramapadau was first mission. He, did the sparsha of that, sandals. Nandigrame Akarot Rajyam. So he decided to be in Nandigrama. I mean, we know the story, so that is what it is being summarized here. Nandigrame Akarot Rajyam Rama Gamana Kankshaya. Although his Kanksha, was to bring Rama, but that was not happening. But Rama, it is Rama Agamana. Rama Agamana. It is Sandhi. Rama Agamana Kankshaya, not Rama Gamana Kankshaya. It is Rama Agamana Kankshaya. Awaiting the return of Rama. Rama Gamana Kankshaya. So that is what is happening. So that sort of summarizes this. With this, the that part of some Kshepa Ramayana and Ayodhya Kandam is over. We'll utter the Mangal Shloka and we will stop. I logically thought we'll stop at each Kanda. That will be a better way to stop this rather than simply going. So we'll tell the Mangal Shloka and we'll stop. Om Swasti Prajapya Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Go Brahmanebhyo Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshatu Parjanya Prithvi Sasya Shalini Deshoyam Kshobarahito Brahmana Santu Nirbhayah Aputra Putrinas Santu Pautrinas Adhana Sadhana Santu Jivantu Sharadam Shatam Shinvan Ramayanam Bhaktya Yappadam Padame Bhava Sayati Brahmanastanam Brahmana Pujyate Sada. Okay, so we'll stop here. Next, I don't think next Sunday I will be able to take a class. I will let you know through the this thing. I will let you know. Yeah.